I'll call this meeting the regular board meeting of the Desert Water Agency on April 1st, 2025. Call the meeting to order at 8 o'clock. Some housekeeping. If you are participating remotely, if you're participating remotely and that information is posted on our website and on the agenda, please mute your microphones until or unless you're ready to speak. And for those of us in the room, to please mute our electronic devices as well. For discussion and questions, I'll call on directors in the following roll call order: Director Gracia, Director McKenna, Secretary Treasurer Bloomer, Vice President Bowman, and President Ortega. And all votes will be conducted via roll call. And with that, I am going to ask Vice President Bowman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And with that, we can move to the roll call. Ms. Hoffman, could you do that for us, please, today?
Director Gracia,
Present.
Director McKenna,
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Present.
Vice President Bowman,
Present.
and President Ortega.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. Item 4 would be public comments on items not on today's agenda. So this is an opportunity for members of the public to speak about an item that's not on today's agenda. We ask that you keep it to items that are relevant to the business of the Desert Water Agency, and also to keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. And if anyone would like to speak, either virtually, they could raise their hand, or if they'd like to come up to the podium, please do so. Good morning.
Morning. President Ortega and members of the Desert Water Agency Board. My name is Rich Smith. I'm the business agent for Teamsters Local 1932 that's assigned to the membership within Desert Water Agency. Since this recognition in last December, I've met several times with 2 members of your leadership team, General Manager Steve Johnson and HR Director Chris Hopping. And I wanted to let you guys know that I've been treated with nothing but dignity and respect in those meetings. And that's much appreciated. Now, when you take those 2 words, dignity and respect, in and of themselves, they carry a lot of weight. I mean, dignity, the state of being worthy, like something's beneath your dignity. And then respect. Well, we'd all like to believe we understand what respect means. When we all come down to it, we all desire respect. Some people say they could care less, but they really do. And, whether it comes from our coworkers or others in the chosen craft, and in this case, water production and delivery in the low desert, that is not something to be trifled with. We're always looking for respect amongst our constituents. Some will say our parents. And yes, for the most part, we're always looking for dignity and respect from our employer. So when you bring those 2 words together, you have the very foundation of what we consider a collective bargaining agreement. So we look forward to sitting down with your leadership team in the real near future to discuss a comprehensive bargaining unit. But I wanted to introduce myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment for items not on today's agenda? Seeing none, we can move to item 5, which would be public comment on items that are listed on today's agenda. Again, we ask that you keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Have we received any public comment, Ms. Hoffman?
No public comments. Have been
Okay,
received.
thank you. And seeing no members of the public online or at the podium, we can move to item 6, which is our consent calendar items. Items that are listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by one motion of the board without discussion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a board member requests a specific item to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Are there any items on today's consent calendar that a director would like to have removed for further discussion or action? None? Okay, I'll look for a motion.
Move the consent calendar as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. So I have a first from Director Gracia and a second from Secretary Treasurer Bloomer. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Gracia,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
Aye.
President Ortega.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 7A is an action item. Request board acceptance of the Mission Creek Groundwater Recharge Facility Maintenance. Mr. Mulhook, thank you very much.
Good morning, President Ortega and members of the board. This morning, I'm here to request board acceptance of Mission Creek Groundwater Recharge Facility Maintenance Project. The 24-25 general fund budget includes operating expenses for maintenance of the Mission Creek Groundwater Recharge Facility, including $500,000 to improve and prepare the basin bottoms to enhance water filtration, supporting the replenishment of the Mission Creek subbasin. TriStar Contracting II, Inc. has completed all work associated with the Mission Creek Groundwater Recharge Facility contract. After board acceptance, a notice of completion will be filed, and following the lien period, the agency will release retained funds in the amount of $16,771.16 to TriStar Contracting, Inc. Project photos are included in your attachment. In prior action at the November 19th, 2024 board meeting, the board awarded the Mission Creek Groundwater Recharge Facility contract to TriStar Contracting II, Inc. Fiscal impact, the 24-25 general fund expense budget included $500,000 for the maintenance of the Mission Creek Groundwater Recharge Facility. The total cost of the maintenance contract, including retention, is $335,423.30. Finance Director Sands has reviewed this report. And with that, staff recommends the board accept the completed work for the Mission Creek Groundwater Recharge Facility project in the amount of $335,423.30. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. Director Gracia, do you have any questions?
Is this separate from the Hurricane Hillary repairs?
Yes, that's correct. That was to rehabilitate kind of the upper protection pond. This was to remove shrubs, rocks, and then rip all the basin bottoms to improve infiltration rates for when we do get water delivered.
Can you guess at how long it'll take before we have to do this again? Is this an annual?
We are not anticipating to do it annually. We're going to kind of see with the infiltration rates how they improved after this go round, and then kind of reassess how frequently from there. But more than likely, probably a 3 to 5 year range would be my best guesstimate.
Certainly less than if it were a sewer treatment plant recharge, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar how frequently they have to rip theirs, but they have to go in there and remove a lot of things more regularly.
Yeah, as I understand it, they're out there once a month. So, at least in Desert Hot Springs, I don't know what they're flushing down the toilet up there, but anyway, thank you.
Director McKenna.
Looks like a great job. Well done. Thank you.
Okay. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer.
No questions, thanks.
Thank you. And Vice President Bowman.
None from me.
Okay. Just a comment more than a question, I guess. So this, there was $500,000 set aside for this maintenance project. It came in considerably less. How often? So we've done this kind of work before, I assume, at the basins.
So my understanding is we've only done the top 2 basins.
Oh.
So then we kind of extrapolated from there for what it would be for the rest of the basins. And that was several years back. So, kind of how construction costs have developed over time. We are giving our educated guess on how much funds we would need for it, and we want to be conservative.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions or comments, so we'll look for a vote.
I move the staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
All right, so a first from Director Gracia and a second from Secretary Treasurer Bloomer. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Gracia,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
Aye.
and President Ortega.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll move to item 8, which is our General Manager's Report. Mr. Johnson?
Secretary Treasurer.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. That is number 8, though. Right, so we'll go to our Secretary Treasurer's Report, which is Secretary Treasurer Bloomer.
I'm going to refer to Finance Director Sines.
Okay.
Thank you. So we do not have our full Secretary Treasurer's report prepared for the month of February as we customarily would have at the first board meeting of the month following. So what we have provided is the investment reporting, which is required by California Government Code on a quarterly basis to be provided 45 days after the end of the quarter. Our investment policy, we take a little bit more conservative view of it, that we report it every single month, but 45 days after. But given the constraints that we had with the Tyler utility billing implementation, we just did not have enough staff time to go around to be able to do our full closing process by this board meeting, the April 1st board meeting, which is within that 45-day time period. The next board meeting on April 15th, it is 46 days past the end of the closing period. So we weren't able to complete it by then, but our investment policy states that we need to provide you the investment reporting, the reporting out of the investment report, which we have done here to stay in compliance with our own policies. And at the April 15th board meeting, we will be able to have all the rest of the information for the February month close. And then the following month, we anticipate we will be back on track as we are now substantially through that implementation of utility billing.
Okay. Any questions? Director
The
Gracia?
only question that occurs to me is, do you think you're making it through? I mean, on the changeover, is it showing signs that the worst is behind you, I guess? I mean, do you feel like you're going to make it to the promised land here?
With regards to our utility billing, yes, I do think we are over the worst of it. It has been a substantial lift. We are now, I believe, as of today, we will have the last billing cycle out that we were behind. So it's taken several weeks for us to catch up because we're doing everything that was not done yet, because we had to have that pause and then kind of do double duty, as well as address any issues that have come up along the way, such as a billing inserter that has not liked the new layout of the bills. So we've run into a couple of hiccups, but we are definitely, I believe, over the worst of it. But we still are working through with our customers with how to read their new bill, how to identify where their customer ID is, navigate the new billing platform to sign up for service, to be able to view their accounts online, as well as to make payments in the new platform. So we are definitely working our way through that on a case-by-case basis. But a majority of our interactions have been positive, as in we are easily able to help them to locate the information that they need and get them set up.
Anything else?
Great news, thanks.
Director McKenna? Okay. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer
None for me.
and Vice President Bowman?
None from me.
And none from me. So we then can move, I guess, to our General Manager's Report, item 9.
Yeah, thank you, President Ortega and members of the board. First item here is the 1 PS picnic. It's on March 22nd, and this is an annual event that we attend. We have our booth, prizes, we have the prize wheel, and we also introduced our new canned water at this event. Some great photos there. President Ortega, Secretary Treasurer Bloomer, Director Gracia, and Director McKenna all attended this, and it looked like they had a great time. People enjoying themselves, handed out some some ducks, and some canned water. So great event. Our next item is just an update on our state water project allocation. We got a report on March 25th that the allocation will go from 35% to 40%. They're basing that on the storms that occurred in late February. They have the snowpack in the Northern Sierra is at 114% of the historical average. Therefore, based on these numbers, they increased to 40%. That for Desert Water Agency equates to 22,300 acre feet of water. And there may be one more look at the allocation percentage and potential increase, but we'll see how these storms play out here that they're expecting here over the next week, and what Desert Department of Water Resources decides to do on that. Next item is our blood drive. We had a fantastic drive. We had 17 registered donors, and then we must have had one unregistered person who I'm not quite sure. There's 18 units, but 17 registered donors and 3 first-time donors. Our goal was to collect 15 units, so we surpassed that. Again, great effort by staff. I believe most of the people who attend are, I don't know if we have many walk-ins at all, but mostly staff. And it's just a great event that we host here, and I know that the local hospitals appreciate that we do this. So, system leak data had 23 leaks reported over a 12-day period. Most of the streets here, the upper streets that had leaks, Lindsay and Baristo, have been awarded. So hopefully we'll get those installed and get them off of this list. The total hours that we applied to these leaks was 207 hours of labor time. And then finally, we have our meetings activities, just some of the highlights. Finance Director Signs attended, I listed this, she went up to Sacramento along with our Water Resource Manager, Sarah Rapola, and they attended the State Water Project contractors meetings and also the site's community board meetings, committee board meetings. We had some strategic plan updates, had a meeting with Asina and DWR regarding the Simis weather station, and then our executive committee meeting occurred on March 27th. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Director Grasha?
No question, just a thought on, maybe we could review the water events going forward at our next meeting. Or, well,
Water events.
what we did at the park, and how much water was allocated. I was thinking that it would be good to put on our agenda for the Public Affairs Committee.
Okay. Director McKenna?
I have none, thank you.
All right. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer?
No questions, thanks.
And Vice President Bowman?
None from me.
None from me. So with that, we can move to director's reports on meetings and events attended on behalf of the agency. So each board member could tell us what they've done in the last couple of weeks since our last board meeting, giving us the date and the event and whether it was compensable. And with that, we'll start with Director Grasha.
Well, starting on the 18th, which was the day of our last board meetings, Coachella Valley Water District had a study session, a special study session where they discussed future projects and things that they thought the board would like to be aware of. And one of the things that they have in their budget is an intertie between our two agencies that would allow us to share in a time of an emergency, be able to shift water between one agency and the other. And I thought it would be nice at some point down the road that we could hear more about that here. Also, something that I've mentioned here before when it had to do with premature failure of water mains at Sun City. It had sounded like they had that. It was just one area where it was the failure had occurred, but now there's the entire second phase has got to be replaced as well. And they've got two other clubs, Trilogy, I believe, where they've got two phases that have failed as well. And at some point you have to, you almost have to ask yourself what's going on. I mean, if it's a construction defect, you would think that they would take a look at whether or not that's something that they should pursue. Because if it continues to happen over there, I hope it doesn't happen here. I mean, it's an expense that the ratepayers have to take on, and they're generally underwriting the contractor or the developers agreed. The developer agrees to present a serviceable system that you expect to last for a period of time. And now the ratepayers are going to have to make up that difference in the developers and the wind, sitting down at their beach house, using the money that they made off of defrauding, essentially, in my view. Potentially, that needs to be looked at. So I hope they take a look at that. They have a couple of years, up to 4 years, to file a claim against those insurance companies. I hope they take a good hard look at doing that. It's not fair what's happening to the ratepayers over there on that subject. On the 19th, I attended the Desert Valley Builders Association Economic Development event that was held next door here, which I thought was a very nice event, very nicely attended. They hadn't had that event in a long time. I don't think it's been a year, but it's been 6 or 8 months since they've had one of their lunches. And I thought it went well. I hope they do it again, and I hope they do it again there. On the 20th, the Desert Hot Springs Rotary's Big Heart Awards, which was an interesting show of enthusiasm for various groups in that area. And on the 21st, the Riverside County Water Task Force held their quarterly meeting, and that on this event was on the subject of fires, floods, and disasters for water agencies. It was put on by the flood control, Riverside County Flood Control. It was pretty interesting. And then on the 22nd, we had the 1 PS picnic, and it's nice to see how that all works. I know you guys do more events than this one, and so it's nice as a board member to be able to go and see what you guys are up to, and how well the community interacts with the agency. And it's almost proof that you guys do a great job around here. You almost don't need us. On the 25th, the Coachella Valley Water District had their regular board meeting, and the shocker, the general manager got his contract extended with a 2% rate boost, which is lower than we're used to seeing, and it's because the inflation rate has come down, and so it gives us an idea of what we can look forward to with going forward on that subject. On the 27th, the 33rd Annual Senior Inspirations Award. It was nice to see everybody show up, or almost everybody. And all three water districts represented. So it was nice to get a chance to talk with people and honor the recipients. We had three. I don't know. We had Cathedral City, we have Palm Springs, and we had Desert Hot Springs. So it was good to be there to honor those people. So that's it.
Right, thank you. Director McKenna?
I went to 3 public events since the last meeting. The first one being the Big Hearts Award in Desert Hot Springs, an event organized by Rotary, well attended. It's good fun to see people being recognized. An employee of Mission Springs was recognized with an award, so congrats to them. Then I went to the 1 PS picnic, first time I've ever been to that. A very well attended event. Great interaction, as you said, between our staff and the public. I was wearing my badge and T-shirt and was accosted by several members of the public, all of them complimentary about the water supply, even though they weren't entirely sure where they were getting it from most of the time. So good public outreach. I enjoyed that event. Then I went to the Senior Inspiration Awards on March 27th in deepest, darkest Indio, place I don't go very much. Some 600 people at that event, and very impressive. I was inspired, I got to say, particularly by the nominee from Desert Hot Springs, Sally Hedberg, who's 88 years old and as bright and chipper as any 18-year-old, and volunteers to the library. So a great event for me. I enjoyed that. And that's what I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer?
Okay, on March 19th, I attended the DVBA luncheon. I thought it was very interesting. The economic development person from Imperial County was the presenter, so it was interesting to see to hear about all the development that's happening down there. And then on March 20th, I attended the Big Hearts Awards in Desert Hot Springs, which was also very well attended and a great program. Then on the 22nd, I also was at the 1 PS picnic, and it was nice to see. It was a very warm day, so everyone was very interested in the canned water, and also the dog bowls. Everyone was pouring water in the dog bowls for their dogs that they had with them. And then on the March 27th, I also attended the Senior Inspiration Awards, which was also very well attended and a very good program. And that's it.
Thank you. And Vice President Bowman?
Yes, for me, on the 20th, I also attended the Big Hearts Award, and it's always a wonderful time to see various aspects of the Desert Hot Springs community get honored for their hard work. And I had our executive committee on the 27th.
Thank you. So for me, on the 19th, the Desert Valley Builders Association luncheon that's been mentioned a couple of times already at our next door neighbor, the Surf Club. I was very impressed not only with the setting and the meal, which I thought was, although small, excellent, but also the presentation. Learning things about our neighbor to the south that I didn't really know much about in terms of economic development and what's happening overall with things that we are not necessarily related to agriculture, which is, I think, what a lot of us kind of assume is happening in Imperial, only thing happening in Imperial County. So that was a good education for me. On the 20th, the Big Hearts Award in Desert Hot Springs, which has also been mentioned. I think the thing that I really, this is several years now that I've attended that event, and what I really am very pleased to see is the heavy emphasis on education. And the majority of the awards going to those in public education who are representing both elementary, middle school, high school, principals, teachers, and also the heavy involvement from students who are at those schools, from 7-year-old kids to some who have just recently graduated from the high school up there. So I really, really do appreciate that, and I'm glad that we're supporting that event in that way. On the 22nd, the 1 PS picnic, which has been mentioned again, that's always a great community event. I think, I can't remember how long it's been going on. I think 16 years now, maybe. And the interaction with the community is really, it's fun. It's fun to see. It's fun to be a part of. I think perhaps what Director Grasha might have been alluding to earlier is we did run out of water. That water is very popular. It was a warm day, that's true. There were other people giving out bottled water, but plastic bottled water. They weren't in the aluminum reusable cans or bottles like we have. And we went I understand that that's the most number of cases of water that we've ever taken to that event. And we still ran out, I think, by the time you and I left, which was around 1 o'clock. So things to think about in the future. And the 27th was the Senior Inspiration Luncheon at Fantasy Springs Casino. I will just echo what Director McKenna said. I mean, there were people on that stage. There were 11 award recipients who were, trying to be careful how I say this, a bit older than I am and full of a lot of energy. And it was indeed inspiring. And then finally on the 31st, our internet security or online security monthly class, and that's it for me. So thank you. We can now move to our next item, which is director's comments and requests. And I'll start with Director Grasha, please.
Thank you. No comments and requests.
Okay. Director McKenna.
I just want to have a little beef about infrastructure. Talking to the city, I would send a message, if you like, to the cities of Palm Springs and Cathedral City. Desert Hot Springs is very poorly served by the road connections between our 3 cities. Gene Autry has been closed for 7 days now, as is Indian Canyon, which means there's no crossing point for the wash between Tilton Road and Date Palm, which is 12 miles. And I think that's a situation that just must be dealt with. Particularly Cathedral City needs to do something about the condition of Varner Road, or else they'll be paying me for new shock absorbers, because it's really awful. It takes me, if I leave at 7 a.m., I can get here at 7:40. If I leave at 7:10 a.m., I'll be late for the meeting. And I think it's quite ridiculous that so much of the community workforce lives in Desert Hot Springs and works elsewhere, and they're very poorly served by the infrastructure. And on that same note, I would like us to look again at the starting time of this meeting. If we could move it to 8:30 or 9 o'clock, we would not be competing with the school buses on Mountain View and the thousands of people trying to get onto Varner Road, which currently takes 10 minutes. There's a 1.2-mile tailback this morning. And when you're through that, you join another tailback for the transfer station, which was 0.8 miles this morning. So it's just a completely unacceptable situation for, the community will not thrive unless that infrastructure problem is dealt with. Thanks.
Thank you. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer.
No comments or requests.
Right. And Vice President Bowman.
None from me, only though to echo what Director McKenna was talking about. On a day like today, if you had a heart attack in Desert Hot Springs, you could not make it to the hospital in time. I'm not kidding you. You would not make it. And I know we're water districts and other water districts are listening in, and I don't know that any cities are really listening in, but it's really a problem. And it's a conundrum beyond my ability, but I think if people think more about it, something could be done. But that's it.
Okay, thank you. And I have nothing else at this point. I see on the clock that it's 8:35. We'll close this part of the public meeting, move into closed session at 8:45 in the boardroom, and thank you, everybody.
Recording stopped.
Session, and I can say that we had no reportable action while we were in closed session. And with that, we can adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.